fuel injection assembly and combustor. Fuel is supplied by liquid propane cylinders. Throttling is done at the cylinder, main valve. Ignition coil, compressor pressure bleed hose, thermocouple sitting on the turbine housing with a crude nozzle for testing purposes only. It's the oil tank with the handheld start unit on top and the radiator and the oil filters. The oscilloscope is used for testing the tachometer circuit as well as the frequency counter. It's a tachometer, experimental tachometer circuit, along with the instruments, which are oil pressure, oil temperature, battery voltage, 3 fuel pressures, one for primary or start fuel, one for running fuel, and one for afterburner fuel. None of those gauges are hooked up right now. And the clear gauge is the compressor air pressure. The last one is a pyrometer for exhaust gas temperature. The switches control power, cooling fan, the ignition, and the oil pump cutoff. We have to cut the oil pump off during starting because the oil pressure tends to drag the turbine shaft down and won't allow N1 speed to build high enough for running. Motorcycle battery provides power for ignition. The charger keeps the battery topped up. And then this box is the ignition box, which fires the HEI coil and the spark plug. A Ford starter solenoid on the side is for the handheld starter. And the drill motor operates the gear pump for providing oil pressure. The cranking motor, the starter unit on the tank there, is a CBX motorcycle starter. And it will crank the turbine about 6,700 RPM before we light the fuel off. And then RPM will quickly build to an idle speed of around 31,000 RPM. The line going into the compressor intake is a Banner bifurcated fiber optic cable. The burner is experimental only. Basically all it does is allow us to test other circuits such as the tachometer, fuel system, and lubrication system. That burner would of course have to be rebuilt properly before we would have any kind of a useful setup. These are the components of the AP, or auxiliary power unit, consisting of a square aluminum oil tank which houses the lubricating and cooling oil. Mounted inside is a CBX Honda motorcycle oil pump and 2 Detroit diesel fuel pumps, also powered by the same tooth belt. Power is provided by a Mack 140 McCulloch chainsaw engine, specially modified to mount separately without any chain on it. It's the belt drive from the clutch. And this is the first combustor off the first turbojet I ever made. It was using a Buick turbocharger. And basically it's just the same as our existing combustor, it's just muffler pipe. That end bolted up to the inlet side of the turbine housing. The other end came from the compressor. The small line is the fuel line, and the spark plug was also down inside there.